We're here at the middle pool at Baitrunner in Staffordshire. Now, this is a typical small water syndrome on a complex of lakes. Other lakes are quite large in size. This is probably, the bowl I'm fishing here is probably about 5-6 acres. And I think we've all been in the position where you'll turn up to a lake that size, or you've moved into a snaggy little bay, or whatever situation it might be, and you feel like you're a bit overgunned with the tackle that you've got. Most people, and me included in the past, tend to have one setup that does everything, whether it be easy, 3.5 test curves, 3 1/4. Now in a fishing situation like this, I feel that I would be a bit overgunned, but I would have to get by. So what I've done now is I've got another setup for shorter range fishing, up to probably 90 to 100 yards. And for that, I've got some 2 3/4 pound rods and some of the new Shimano 10,000 X-Aero Baitrunners. Now, I'll talk a bit through the rod afterwards. I'm just going to really focus on the reel side of things to begin with. Now, as you can see, they look absolutely amazing. Very classical Shimano design. There's 3 models in the range. You've got a 6,000, an 8,000 and a 10. The 6,000, we've kept the time old classic, the twin handle system. Very, very well balanced setup for the smaller commercials, which can cross over into the specimen market. The 8,000 and the 10, as you can see, is this gone back to the old school where it's a single handle on the reel. So extra cranking, much more feel when you're playing a fish. And I do like that style, to be honest, because it's what I started carp fishing with. So that's the first issue. You've still got the same lovely silky smooth clutch on the back. That is obviously the adjuster for the Baitrunner. Moving up the body, I've used big pit reels for years, and I do love them. I make no bones, I do love them. I also use fluorocarbon line a lot, so I do tend to find with the bigger spool it can fall off the front quite a lot. So these are really perfectly suited to my style of fishing. And I'll be honest, the lakes I'm fishing at the minute, or have been fishing, these would do me easily for anywhere I need to cast on those lakes. So again, moving forward, one of the main features you'll notice is the bodies are still very, very compact, but the spools are actually bigger. They're 30% bigger than any of the old Baitrunners in the catalogue that are existing. And what that aids better casting, sort of bigger line capacity. The line will come off the spool a lot easier, and it also makes it very, very well balanced when you're playing a fish. And it just feels really, really comfortable to use. Because I've used big pits for so long, it's actually a joy to use these Baitrunners. All 3 models all come with a spare spool, and I think just to conclude, I think you see a lot of stuff in the mags or on YouTube or whatever it may be, and I think because everybody seems to think they have to be educated to use a big pit reel for everything, we're trying to reintroduce an old classic to say that, look, you can fish up to 100 yards easily and comfortably, have a lot more control, much better feel, and just enjoy it more. It's great to play fish on these reels after having a big cranking reel, which again are perfect for the big pit carp fishing, but when you're on small waters, a Baitrunner like a 10,000 X-Aero is absolutely perfect. And obviously I've twinned them up. These are an XS1, 12 foot 2 3/4. I'd even go down to like an 11 or a 10 foot rod that we do in the range on a water like this. They're all really well suited. It's a very well balanced setup with the XS1s, very minimalistic finish, lovely gunmetal carbon reel seats, full Japanese shrink, and they're absolutely a joy to play fish on. And I think over the years, we've all got into 3.5, 3 3/4 pound test curves, which are fine. They do certainly have their place, but when you play a carp, even if it's small, 8, 9, 10 pound on a 2 3/4 rod with a Baitrunner, it just suddenly takes you back to how things used to be and how much fun that used to be. So it's a very well balanced setup, and it's certainly one that I'm going to really try and focus on using a lot more in my fishing.